Hey guys, it's Ginny Silver, and today I have a stimulus update for you on Wednesday, December 16th. Yesterday's stimulus video, I focused on breaking down the text of the bill from the bipartisan stimulus proposal. That $908 billion proposal, which was then broken down into two separate sections. And we looked at the $748 billion bill, which dealt with unemployment provisions, PPP funding, and some additional items. Now, yesterday's video broke down the language in that bill as it pertains to unemployment. Now, as I stated in yesterday's video, that bill is a proposal. It is a bill that has not been signed into law yet and was subject to additional negotiations. Last night, the four congressional leaders, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, and McCarthy, met in the evening in order to hash out some negotiations in terms of stimulus. We are now seeing information circulating in news sources that is stating that additional progress has been made in terms of negotiations. Now, today, news sources are reporting that Senator John Thune, who is the number 2 Republican in the Senate, has shared some details of what is on the table currently in terms of negotiations. And there is a change in terms of stimulus checks. Yes, stimulus checks are back in the mix in the amount of $600 to $700 per adult and per dependent. Now, in order to fund these additional $600 to $700 stimulus checks, the funding is likely to come from unemployment benefits being decreased. This would mean that that $300 boost that was stated to be for 16 weeks in the bipartisan proposal is likely to end at the end of March as opposed to the April deadline expressed in the bipartisan bill. The amount of weeks previously suggested by the bipartisan stimulus proposal was 16 weeks, and now we are likely to see a decrease down to approximately a 3-month time period. So will Mitch McConnell be on board with adding in stimulus checks? Well, in a phone call today on Wednesday, Mitch McConnell stated the two senators, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, who are both facing January runoffs, which will determine if the Senate is flipped. Mitch McConnell stated that these two senators were receiving a large amount of negative critique, specifically stating that they were getting hammered for the failure to provide stimulus to struggling Americans, specifically in the form of direct payments. And during this phone call, he stated that direct payments could help these two senators. An additional change in terms of negotiation is that we are seeing an increased budget for PPP funding. Now, PPP funding allows businesses to take out that forgivable loan, which means that they can then continue to pay out their employees. Congressional members, including Mitch McConnell, are stating that they will remain in session until the next COVID relief package is passed. However, it should be anticipated that there would likely be a gap between when the package is passed and when it is enacted. Now, in terms of unemployment benefits, what you need to keep in mind is that once something is passed and signed into law, it will then be required to go to the Department of Labor, who must then create documents issuing guidance on how to implement the programs on the state level. Once guidance has been created on that level, then it will be released to the states, and then they will have to distribute, update their systems, and pay out claimants. Now, from seeing the bill from the bipartisan stimulus proposal, which is essentially the starting point for these negotiations, we are seeing a continuation of programs that are already in existence. By this, I mean the additional $300 boost to unemployment is not a new program, but rather it's an amendment to the prior FPUC program from the old stimulus package, the CARES Act. That means that if we are simply continuing a program, we don't have to wait for an entirely new program and set of systems to be created and implemented before claimants can be paid out. This is beneficial because it means that the time in between when something is passed and when it can actually be paid out to claimants is going to be lessened. With that being said, keep in mind that even if something is passed by that December 18th deadline, there is still likely to be a lapse in terms of unemployment benefits for those whose programs are expiring at the end of December. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Please click like, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below.